Hello, everyone. Before I actually start the episode, I wanted to reach out because I need some help. Last night, I found out that a dear friend of mine's son passed away. And that's a pain that no mother should ever have to endure. Unfortunately, she's enduring it right now, and I just wanted to send a lot of prayers her way. If you don't pray, I ask that you please send positive thoughts to her as well as her family as they learn to live without the little boy that brought them so much joy.
I wake up and count my blessings. No more worries, no more stressing. With every loss there comes a lesson. Lord, all I'm asking is protection. I wake up and count my blessings.
Greetings, Massive. Translation: hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations with me, a random nobody. Before I get started, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has taken the time out to listen to my podcast, to share my podcast, follow me on Instagram, join my email list, anything that you've done to support me. I just want to let you know that I truly appreciate it and ask that you will continue to do so. I also ask that you spread the word. Tell someone about the podcast, maybe a coworker or a neighbor or someone you meet at the grocery store. Whoever might be into podcasts, I ask that you just let them know. So let's just get right into this episode because I'm looking forward to talking about these things today. So as you can tell from the title, we're going to be talking about the S and the V word today. Now, if your mind's in the gutter, you might be thinking something totally opposite than what I'm about to say. And that's okay. But today, the S and the V word that I want to focus on is shame and vulnerability. And I want to talk about those two things because on this podcast, I'm going to be very vulnerable, guys. I'm going to be discussing things that are near and dear to my heart. I'm going to be talking about real life experiences and, things that have affected me throughout the years and things which I've been able to learn from as well. And, people might think, why talk about shame? Why talk about being vulnerable? Those are things that make you weak. Now, I used to walk around hiding the things that I wasn't good at or, things that I failed at before. And I would never voice it to anyone because it was embarrassing. And I really didn't want people to know that side of me. I wanted people to look at me and, think that I had it all together. Because that's how I looked at people. I saw people from the outside and started wanting what they had. I wanted to be like them or, experience life the way that they were experiencing it. Not knowing, guys, that their life was as jacked up as mine. So once I realized that, life got a lot easier and I was able to kind of focus more on myself and not really comparing myself to others. And I'm choosing to talk about vulnerabilities because I feel like if I've been through something that someone else is going through, then maybe my story can be helpful to them. Why hold it in if someone else can benefit from it? That's the way I look at things. Because if I'm going through something in life and, you've already experienced that, then help me out. Let me know that you've been there. Let me know that, it's gonna be okay eventually. Because on the outside, people look like their life is perfect, but on the inside, it's not. And oftentimes we see in others the things that they don't even see in themselves. And I can attest to that because oftentimes when I voice my true feelings to people, they don't know how to handle it. I'll say something to the effect of, I'm such a horrible mother. My kids don't listen. They don't wash the dishes. I don't know what to do. Maybe I didn't raise them right. And almost always the response that I receive is, Trisha, you are not an awful mom. Your kids are amazing. You're amazing. You're being too hard on yourself. And I'm like, but that's not how I feel. I don't feel like I'm a great mother. I don't feel like, my kids are amazing. They are amazing. But, at certain points, it just doesn't feel that way. And instead of acknowledging my feelings, the person that I voiced it to just kind of put some sugar on it. Speaking about sugar, another instance is when I tell people that I need to stop eating crazy because I'm gaining weight. And the first thing they say is, Trisha, you look fine. You don't need to lose any weight. And I've been on a weight loss journey now since 2012. And from 2012 until now, I've lost about, 40 to 50 pounds. So people that, have known me for a while, they see the difference and, they're just like, girl, you're fine. So it's like, but no, I'm really not fine, and because I don't acknowledge, because, at the end of that conversation, I may say, they're right. I'm being too hard on myself. I need to take it easy. I'll take it easy with my kids and take it easy with my eating. And then a couple weeks later, my kids are acting crazy again. I've put on at least 15 pounds. And it's like, wait, I'm back at this same place again. So because my feelings were never acknowledged and kind of suppressed, it's kind of like the disappearing, reappearing ink that Roger Rabbit had in his movie. I'm not sure if anyone saw that, but that's one of my favorite movies. But it's kind of like that, right? Your feelings surface. You did talk about it, but you don't address it, and then they go away, and then it'll come right back. So it's important that when you feel a certain way and you want to talk about it, you have to know who to go to, because 9 times out of 10, if you go to someone and say, I'm a horrible parent, or I'm too, my weight is fluctuating and I feel fat, 9 times out of 10, they're going to say something to comfort you, to make you feel better. And that's not always the right thing to do. You need someone who's going to tell you the truth and who's going to acknowledge how you feel and kind of address it so you can get to the root of the issue and deal with it. Because once you get to the root of the issue, like in my instance, when I talked about my children, I was able to realize that I was comparing myself to other families. I was comparing my children to other children. I wanted my kids to be like other people's kids. And once I realized that, it made me look into myself and ask myself, why was I doing those things? And then I was able to address it, learn from it, and move on from it. So now those issues that I had before, they're not going to come back up again because I was able to acknowledge it, learn from it, and move on. Same with my weight. I realized that I was a stress eater. I never thought that I was a stress eater. But when I look back at certain situations, it's like every time I fall off the quote unquote wagon, something is occurring in my life. Something is changing. And, that's the reason why my weight fluctuates. So instead of saying, oh no, I'm fine, I was able to realize these stressors. And when they reared their ugly head, I was able to deal with it in a certain way instead of just getting upset and feeling down about it. And something that has helped me along the way with talking about shame and talking about vulnerability is actually Dr. Brene Brown. I saw her on Oprah's Super Soul Sunday. It was actually a couple years ago. And as I said earlier, she was saying how you have to know who to go to and who to tell your shameful moments, who you can share your shameful moments, and who you can really be vulnerable with. Because if you go to someone and you share with them something that you did that you feel embarrassed about, if they don't respond in a way that is beneficial to you, then you're going to think you're stupid for even talking about it. And you're not. You just didn't tell the right person, right? So if I say I did something crazy and I went to a friend and I let her know this is what happened, if she in turn says to me, Trisha, I cannot believe you did that. What were you thinking? I'm going to feel like, damn, I should have just kept it to myself. Why did I tell her anything? Blah, 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 blah. However, if you find someone who can empathize with you and can let you know you did something crazy, but you are not crazy, or you did something bad, but you are not bad, right? There's a difference. And we need people in our lives who's going to let us know the difference between the two. Like with the two instances I gave earlier, if you're being vulnerable and sharing your shame story with someone, it should look a little bit like this. I'm such a horrible mother and my kids don't listen. They don't help me around the house and, they don't put their full effort at school and things of that nature. Response number 1, first, you're an awesome mom. Teenagers never listen, so stop being so hard on yourself. My kids give me a hard time too. Being a parent is not easy, so just chill. How is that going to be helpful to me? It's not, because you're not acknowledging my feelings. You're basically saying, get over it or whatever, right? But that's not what we always need. And because we live in a society that likes to, sugarcoat things all the time and, we don't want to hurt each other's feelings, that's the response that we tend to give people. And I'm guilty of it too. I'm quick to tell somebody, oh, you're fine, you're this, you're that. But as I've learned about this, I've kind of changed my responses when people say certain things to me. And I try not to be sympathetic, but I try to be empathetic and more supportive. A better response to that would have been, really? I think you're a great mom, but I can totally understand your feelings of frustration. But tell me, why do you feel like you're a horrible mom? So with that response, I'm able to express how I feel and kind of let out, my frustrations. And through that, eventually I'll find out the root of the issue. I'll find out why I feel like that. And, I'm able, in that case, to address it. And what I also realized was, as far as with the weight situation, and I'm using my kids and my weight in this scenario because those are the two things that, just came to my mind. But as far as with my weight fluctuating, is it really fluctuating or I'm just gaining weight? I'm just gaining weight. You know what I'm saying? It just happens. Like I said, I realized I was stress eating. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but Abraham Maslow was a theorist and he believed that there were 4 needs that needed to be met before we could operate at our fullest potential. And the first need is physiological needs, meaning air, water, shelter, food, sleep, things like that. The second need was our safety needs, feeling safe at home, feeling secure with employment, things of that nature. The third need that we needed met was love and belonging, being able to have intimate relationships or friends and family, having good relationships in that arena. And then the fourth one was status, freedom, recognition, and feeling accomplished. So he said that if we met all 4 of these needs, then we would reach the top tier, which is self-actualization. However, what I didn't realize and what sometimes we don't realize in life is that we can reach that top hierarchy. We can get to the top of the hierarchy and we're at self-actualization. We're operating at our fullest potential, but then something can happen to knock us back down to level 3. And that's kind of what happens in my life. I realize sometimes I'm doing the best that I can do. I am, operating at my fullest potential, but then something shows up in life and then my safety need is not being met. So now I have to figure out how to get back on that level, fix that, and then move my way back up the hierarchy. Sometimes I'm knocked down to physiological needs where I'm not getting enough sleep. So then if I'm not getting enough sleep, then the other needs are not being met. So it's like sometimes life is going good, but when life shows up, it tears you down. But the important thing is when we get torn down, we have to remember to get back up. Like if I get knocked down to level 1 or 2, I can't stay there. I have to figure out what happened. If someone may have lost their job and they're at the top of the hierarchy, they're not going to stay there because that need is not being met. So they're no longer on that level. But once they find employment again, they, are earning income, they feel better about themselves, then they can move back up the hierarchy. I can use an example of when I got knocked down. I was feeling my best. It was actually my 38th birthday, and I decided to go to Mexico to celebrate. And I went by myself. I went alone and everyone thought I was crazy. But I'm a part of a group on Facebook where it's called Sisters Traveling Solo. And I mean, there are women traveling all around the world by themselves, enjoying their time. And I was like, why can't I do that? So I booked a trip and I went to Mexico to celebrate my birthday all by myself. I had a blast. Everyone I encountered are like, you're here by yourself? You're here by yourself? Oh my God, that's so inspiring. That's so amazing. And I'm like, I guess, but I really enjoyed myself. And when I got back home, life was waiting for me. So at that moment, I was living to my full potential, doing the best that I could do, enjoying the fruits of my labor. But then when I came back home, something happened, knocked me down to, maybe I needed my safety needs met again, or, I wasn't getting enough sleep because now I have to get the kids back and forth to practice. And, it's just like right back at you. So sometimes we have to realize that we're going to get knocked down, but it's so important that you fight and, that you just keep showing up. You keep showing up every single day because that's what matters. You matter the most. You realize that when you show up for yourself, life will be easier. When you start doing what you want to do, it'll become more natural because 9 times out of 10, we often do things, or I can speak for myself. I used to do things where I wanted to make sure everyone else was happy. I didn't put myself first, and therefore, whatever decisions that I made, it was because I wanted to make sure that, he was okay, or she was okay, or my kids were okay, things of that nature. But when you learn to tell people no without an explanation, it's like a 50 pounds lifted off of you. And, you start enjoying the life that you were meant to live, the way that you want to live it. I had to teach myself. If I didn't want to do something, then I was not going to do it. Say no. No, I'm sorry. No apology. Just, Trisha, do you want to do? No, I'm good. And that's it. Maybe next time. I'm not busy. I'm not, I just don't want to do it. And you just say no. And it's okay. It's okay to say no. And not only to drugs, like anything you don't want to do, you can say no. You don't feel like doing it. Sorry, not going to do it. And, you'll feel a lot better because you're choosing you. And you are what matters the most. We really need to remember that, and we need to say it every single day. I am what matters the most. I am what matters the most. Let that sink in. Start to believe it because you are what matters the most. When it all comes down to it, you do what you want to do. Make decisions off of what will make you happy. Choose you every single time because you are what matters the most. Now, before I go, I just wanted to talk about one more thing. And it was something Dr. Brene Brown said that really, really stayed with me. She said that in order for shame to grow, it needs secrecy, silence, and judgment. However, shame cannot thrive with empathy and being spoken. Once you speak your shame, it has no more power over you. Once I let my friend know, someone who will tell me the truth when I tell them what I have to say, once I say it to them, it's off of me now. And I can move on to the next one because trust and believe, I'm going to do something crazy again. I'm going to need to be able to speak it to someone. I want to speak my shame. I don't want to hold on to it because that's when it destroys me. I love telling people, when I made a mistake or when I did something that I regret. I love it because when I tell, I release myself from it. And that's so important. It's so important that you realize that shame and vulnerability are not things that make you weak, but they make you strong. And with that being said, this episode is over. But I just wanted to just talk about those things because in the future, I might put out an episode where I talk about something that's emotional, or you may think, oh my God, I can't believe she's talking about that. Well, this is why, because I have no problem with talking about shame, talking about my vulnerabilities, because I think once we do that, we help people to realize that we're just like them. We are so much more alike than we are different. It's not even funny. And sometimes we don't realize that because people don't show us that vulnerable side. They don't show us, the mistakes they made. And I'm not saying I'm going to come on here and spew out names and Instagram handles and, not at all. But if there was something that I've been through in my life that I experienced, I learned from it and I was able to move past it, then I want to share that because I never know who else it might help. And I have no problem talking about me. So that is the end of this episode, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're not following me on social media, please start following me. I'm Random Nobody on Instagram. On Twitter, I am Random Nobody with a 1. And if you're not on social media, please send me an email if you'd like to, interact with me. I'm randomnobodypodcast@gmail.com. Check me out at www.conversationswiththerandomnobody.com. Other than that, you guys, I will see you next Wednesday with another episode. And I'll give you a little hint. Okay, I think that's enough. I think y'all got it. All right, until next time, walk good. Translation, be safe.
Started from the bottom, look where we end up, on top like Pac. All eyes on us, blessings. No more worries, no more stressing. With every loss there comes a lesson. Lord, all I'm asking is protection. I wake up and count my blessings.